It's October the 9th, 2024, and you know why you're here, so let's kick this off right and introduce the players. Hey, I'm Gerissar, a WoW esports aficionado.
Hey, I'm TreesapJake, and just for tonight, you may refer to me as Bigger Moran. And as he's not here to defend himself, I mean, I am the Bigger Moran at this stage.
You are the bigger Moran today. I will not decline. I will fully allow you to have that.
Yeah,
Although I do feel bad that Big's not here.
indeed.
Unfortunately, he had what was his brother's birthday, so they're doing a gathering today. So so he has some IRL PvP, I guess.
Exactly. He's got to show them how swole he's become.
Yeah,
Swole
indeed.
Moran.
Swole Moran. Well, I guess since quickly, what I haven't talked to you guys forever. What have you been up to, Jake?
Well, I mean, the last time it was me and Big doing the show, so
Yeah.
we took on the formidable information and knowledge brain of Party Waffles, and it was exciting. It was really fun. No, but for me personally, what I've been doing, honestly, I've had a lot of time off recently, which has been great.
Oh,
So I've just been
okay.
chilling, relaxing. I've been doing lots of stuff, WoW related stuff. I've been playing a lot of threes. I've been doing a lot of twos, just kind of getting a lot of my classes up and running. You may see me back on Ellie for a bit as well. That's something that I've been looking into.
Oh, really?
I've also, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think I was playing it a little bit, and I actually was really enjoying it, and it sort of seems like it's a cool place that I actually might enjoy it again, which would be great. So I've been playing a lot of Elemental Shaman, a lot of Devastation Evoker, Shadow Priest, a fair bit of Warrior. Like I've really spread myself out, and I'm just kind of enjoying the flexibility of kind of multi-classing at the minute because I'm able to sort of play with various different peoples. And now that I've done it for so long, I don't actually feel as if when I swap over that I lose my, like I don't know where I'm at. Like my keybinds are different. I don't know what I'm pressing. Like I've mapped my keybinds and what I press in a very similar way between all characters. Like certain important abilities are on different numbers, which is great. And I really recommend that if you are a multi-classer and you want to play different specs that to kind of keep them the same. So like a lot of the damage cooldowns are exactly the same. So it's been really fun and really exciting. And on top of that, I have also been leveling again in vanilla. So classic WoW on the
Really?
era, not even SOD, like era. Just
Oh,
just because it's really cathartic. I find it really cathartic. I'm having fun. I'm leveling a rogue, and they're really OP in world PvP and everything. So just enjoying myself.
nice. Sounds good. Um, just out of curiosity, for what was I say? For the shaman, well, just like any of the classes, um,
Mm,
since you've been multi-classing and all that, because there's only limited cataclysm charges, right? There's catalyst charges when I say
yeah.
cataclysm. How are you finding that? Because you could like, how are you dealing with the tier set thing?
Well, it's really easy to be honest with you because I get 1600, so I get a free tier piece, and then you convert one of them, and I've had more than enough to do the kind of three that I've done so far, and my shaman will be my
Okay.
fourth. It's I haven't found it a problem, mostly
Oh.
because a lot of the classes that I play don't really need four set.
Mm. Okay.
So, and also the lack of versatility is also another problem in that regard.
Mm.
So actually, it's been fine. I haven't noticed anything. I think it would be slightly different if you were solely PVE based and you want to get your tier and everything, and you've got limited slots and you want to play
Yeah.
different specs. But I mean, it's not really been an issue. In fact, actually, one of the most interesting things I heard today, I was watching Joe Fernandez stream, just chilling, doing a bit of leveling and relaxing. And one of the really interesting things he said is that, oh, like if you want to try arms, you might like it's actually probably worth your time to actually level another warrior, gear it up from the beginning with all the extra conquest as haste crit, which is the main stats for it,
Yeah.
rather than actually trying to convert your Fury Warrior, which kind of focuses on mastery,
Yeah.
to having haste gear. Like it's actually, and that's an interesting thing, just because obviously the way that conquest is capped at the minute, and
Yeah.
progress of getting items. Actually, realistically, like because gearing is so easy, it's actually easier on you to completely
Little
redo your
newbie.
character almost
Yeah.
as an alt.
Yeah, one of my guildies did that. He messed up his gearing and his stat weights, and so he did that. He just leveled a whole nother character, and started just gearing it up through PvP and everything because it was easier. He couldn't afford to switch the gear out right now with the costs and, yeah, like I said, the caps. So
Yeah.
interesting. Well, cool. I guess quickly for me, just been piddling around. Me and actually shout out to Mortai. He helped me last week get my skirmish cap for the weekly quest, and other than that, I went into solo shuffle finally with my warlock, and didn't do so great actually. But that's okay. And yeah, and then if you saw last week, Mortai, myself, and quick shout out to Tantify. They were the third, and we competed in the Open Cup for the AWC, and got knocked out fairly quickly. But that's fine. We actually did pretty good, I think. We almost got a few wins, but then we just we ran out of steam. We're playing Holy Pally, Feral, Affliction Lock. But I had decided to try to gear my Affliction Lock for was it for Mastery instead of Haste. So I was hitting really good, but I couldn't get the casts off quite as fast as I needed to,
Yeah.
which is, I guess, why the Haste was the better build. But it is what it is. I guess, why don't we do the Need, Greed, and Pass, though? Then we'll get that done, and then we'll roll into the things that we know that are coming up in events.
This likely won't be a clean fight, so keep your distance, eh?
All right. Need, Greed, and Pass.
Interesting.
Why don't you introduce this one, bigger?
Bigger, yeah. I was about to say, how dare you, Gerissar? I made it explicitly clear what my name was at the beginning of this. Anyway, as the bigger Moran, I will explain. Need, Greed, and Pass. Do you want me to explain what it exactly is, or what you've chosen?
How about what it is, and then I'll do the.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Need, Greed, and Pass is this wonderful little segment where we will pose a scenario with three options usually related to WoW, and they are, you can kind of order them in how you would choose to have them. So need them as in you need it, greed it as in like that's option number 2, and pass as in no, I don't want that. And obviously you can play with us at home, or type it on stream, or tweet us, or even go into the bonus roll Discord and let us know what you chose.
Indeed.
Now Gerissar will tell us what he has chosen this week.
Yes. So long and hard thinking about this, and by long and hard, I spent about 20 minutes on my commute home. So I was thinking about, in the video game of World of Warcraft, it was always like basically just typing, texting. That's all we could really is just chat back and forth in our groups, or /says or guild and whatever. And it's only been recently that we had the voice chat added into the game, and now we have pings, which were added as part of the Blitz. And so, thinking about that, I was just wondering what the next evolution might be to help players communicate, especially in the solo queue part of the game, besides pings. So, the options is adding a quick message system. So, similar to other games where you can quickly hit a button, like, I don't know, for example, like in Halo and that, right? You can do like over here and over there and stuff like that. Tell people what to do, and I know that's more for NPCs, but still, do that. Another option is actually activating the voice lobbies in games, just like I guess like COD, right? Allow that. So when you get into that solo queue lobby, you're automatically dropped into a voice channel with those players, and but nothing's bad going to happen from that. Obviously, that nothing bad would ever happen from being dropped into a lobby with strangers in a competitive game situation. But hey, the third option is that Blizzard actually does nothing, and we end up having add-on developers come to the rescue and developing some sort of an add-on, whatever that might be. So those are the options. So again, what's the next evolution in helping players communicate in the solo queue games? aside from pings? Is it going to be quick messages? Is it going to be voice chat? Or is it going to be nothing by Blizzard and the add-on developers are going to save us?
Ooh, very interesting. Shall I go first?
Ooh. Well, it's either you or you.
Oh, okay. Well, as I'm the comparatively bigger version of myself, I will go first. This is such an interesting question, Gerissar, and I'm going to go into a little bit of depth about why I've chosen what I've chosen, which is exactly what I should do. But I'll just open up and say I'm going to need on quick messages, and the reason why is because in my head, right, quick messages. This for me includes a sort of emote system, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like not like a forward slash spit or forward slash silly or forward slash laugh. I'm talking like 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 an image of your character, like an avatar pops up and poses like a thumbs up or like a smile or a thumbs down or a crying kind of thing, like a real big way to kind of like express yourself in sort of dungeons and other ways like that, to kind of sort of express some sort of like we see it in League a fair amount, and I quite like the idea and the concept of having that as a sort of like a WoW Zone spin-off of a way to kind of get across your emotions or kind of like tease your enemies in a very shorthand way that lets them see that. Now, I'm not a developer. I don't know how spammy that would look like, but I like the idea that you can do you can do that kind of thing, and sort of, because a lot of the time I don't have the time to like emote or type something, and I feel like I've spent ages like typing. It'd be quite nice whilst I'm running around, and like people can just sort of respond exactly to, like, you can have like something that's like, oh, come with me, as you say, kind of like a little emote of like a guy sort of your character like gesturing, and the other guy responds with like a little thumbs up kind of thing from his character, and then that in that way they can sort of expand their levels of communication without needing to be in voice or whatever. But it's done with with like a simple click of the button, or a keybind or whatever, that like opens like a dial. That's how I see that one, and I think that I need that, definitely need that, because I'm 100% down for that. My greed, however, is going to be nothing from Blizzard add-on developers to the rescue, because and there's a very simple reason why I've done it, is because I will definitely be passing on the voice lobbies in game. Because if you've played using the Blizzard voice chat at any time in your life, it is horrendous. It sounds so awful, and can be really buggy and just not very nice, and hot mics everything. I'm just, yeah, no thanks. I will I will pass on that one from Blizzard. So in that regard, I think we already have quite a significant amount of add-ons. I think stuff like WeCorers is is a good way of kind of finding that. Now, I think Blizzard are great, but one of the things I will say is that there are so many bugs that they have in this game, and I think adding that system, adding something that they've done themselves to kind of improve voice chats or whatever, just means that we're going to have another week of the rated section of the queue system being unable to be pressed.
Yeah.
And just, yeah, bugs galore, and I don't think it'll ever fix it. It'll be like, oh, sorry guys, we definitely can't fix the mind control bug now for sure, because we've added this new system in, and now it's spaghetti code, and it's all over the place and whatever. I don't know programming, but I'm just saying like words, and hopefully it makes sense. But I think that's kind of my reasoning behind it. So for me personally, need quick messages. Greed nothing from Blizzard. Let's have add-on developers do it to kind of improve the UI,
Okay.
and then pass voice lobbies in game.
All right. Okay. That's interesting. So mine was going to be need on voice chat, and I understand the voice chat is not great. The quality of the voice is obviously not the best, but I figure that would be now obviously people can mute the audio, or they can turn off their mic and they can still ignore you. But I feel like there's people out there that they don't read the chat, or they have it they just have it mute, they have it another tab off. But it's really hard to ignore somebody speaking in your ears while you're playing the game. Right? You can't say
Yeah.
aside from let's say like a South American player playing in a North American game, right? Then there's some language barriers there, but that's there anyways in chat, so it doesn't matter there. But there's no real other way for people to ignore that. I think otherwise, quick messages was going to be my greed. Again, at least it's in game. It provides a message. The only problem there is that unless it like does a raid warning across the top of the screen, then it'll just get ignored in chat because it's not on the screen in people's face. The issue there then is who has the ability to do that. Imagine in a 8v8 blitz game, all 8 players trying to give commands, and that gets a little bit much. So I think maybe it'd be only the leaders, just like they can with raid warnings. And then I was going to pass on the add-on developers to the rescue, because even in today's game where certain add-ons are considered mandatory to play the game, there's still a number of people that play the game without them. And my concern there is without everybody having the add-on, there's going to be somebody that doesn't know what's going on or doesn't see the communication, is missing out on whatever. And so that's an issue. And so that's my biggest concern, is that there's people out there that would just, again, ignore, not participate. You can't tell me what to do, and then run off and do their own thing, and then wonder why they lost that lobby. So that's mine. Again, like you said, back to the chat. I see some people already giving their comments in Twitch chat, but if you are not currently watching us live on Twitch, you can always come to our Discord, or you can give us your opinion via email or over on Twitter or whatever. But in the meantime, we are going to move on to the events that we know about right now.
Get in there and fight! Stop hiding!
Yeah, stop hiding. Get in there and fight. Upcoming PvP events. If anybody hasn't been paying attention, the Arena World Cup cups are ongoing. 2 are done. 3rd is this weekend, and the 4th is the following weekend. After which we will see what the final points are and see which teams from EU and NA will be going to the grand finals, and which ones will be having to crawl for that final spot in the grand finals via the AWC Cup, which is exactly the same format they've used for the last few years. Now, what do you think? What do you think, Jake? Have you been watching the games?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been really paying attention to the games. There've been times where I've been driving home, and I've, for the first time ever, really had the AWC like playing in the car as I'm listening. I think it's been fantastic. It's been really, really lovely.
Awesome.
I do have a vested interest. Obviously, one of our friends, Neffy, has been playing in there. We've had Neffy on the podcast, a few times. I've got like that. I'm really invested in that. In that whole thing. So I've been, watching their games like really intently, and then seeing how things progress has been really awesome. But I think, in all honesty, I think the AWC is a fantastic format, like massively so. Like I think it's doing the job perfectly well. What I'd love to see more, as I've kind of always said, really, is just a lot more of I think just kind of a lot more like player-led stuff, like kind of having a few more stuff outside of the AWC that can really help players grow. Like like imagine sort of like 5 or 10 years time when people that have been competing eventually want to go off and do something else or retire from professional gaming, and who's going to be the next generation of players. And what I think they do really well in something like League is they kind of have these smaller tournaments and smaller teams that kind of just develop players a bit more. And I think that's kind of what I'm really looking for, is that would really be the ideal. But for what it is, as a world championship kind of bracket, I think it's great. I think they do it really, really well, and it's always really, really fun to watch. I'm a big fan of. I think the casters are really great, and that they're doing a fantastic job. And it's always really exciting.
Yeah, I've enjoyed this format. I'm not sure if they can really improve upon it. So far it's worked out well, but you're not wrong. I think we've spoken to that a few times that there's a need for some more community events just to help people grow and practice before so they can really achieve what they can achieve on the Arena World Cup road to BlizzCon as it used to be. Hopefully we get to BlizzCon eventually again. But
Well, yeah, that's another thing that is also massively missing, is that the BlizzCon aspect of things
mhm.
was what really made it a significant thing to watch, because obviously that road to BlizzCon is so synonymous with kind of early esports, really, more than anything.
Yep,
Like it used to be massive, like a massive thing. So I am really sad that we haven't been able to see more of that, and obviously that's because we haven't had a BlizzCon. But I think it would
well,
be really, really good to see the AWC come back, and for the
I agree.
LANs to happen, and
I
and
agree.
actually more than anything for us to be able to tell who's better, NA or EE, and
Oh, we already know the answer to that. Come on. Anyway,
obviously it's
so
obviously
moving on to international stuff. So after the AWC Grand Finals finished on the 17th of November, the MDI. Actually, sorry, correction. After Cap number 4, the MDI is going to spin up. So registration's on right now for the MDI. If anybody doesn't know, it ends on the 14th, and then time trials are going to go until the 21st of October. Then once they have that, the top teams are going to be selected and put into Group A, Group B. So that's going to be throughout November. There's China group, which I don't know when those are going to play, but they'll play sometime. And then, so after that, then the AWC Grand Finals will happen, and then the MDI Grand Finals will be the 22nd to the 24th of November. Uh, I'm not sure if you guys spoke about this last time, but did you notice that there's two different banners for playing in the two?
no, I didn't clock that at all.
Yeah, so there's a banner for competing in the AWC, and there's a that one's called the Forge Champion Prestigious banner, and then the MDI is going to get a tempered banner of the Algari.
Oh,
So yeah, so for those who are collectors, yeah,
both.
yeah, I'm sure there's some people out there doing that. I'm sure. Couple other things. This isn't tournament related, but I think it was worthwhile to put on. Is the Oasis community is doing a BG Blitz roundtable. It's happening tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you don't know, go over to the Oasis Discord. They'll have an item there in their event. You can put yourself as interested. You'll make sure you get a flag, and I think they're even willing to do some VOD reviews to help people get better. So that's what that's about. And last but not least, the 23rd of November, we're gonna host another tournament, right?
Yep, exactly. 23rd of November, we are back on the desk, casting and hosting another tournament. This time slightly different from what we did before.
Yeah.
It's actually going to be well, I mean, I'm assuming we can say exactly what it's going to be,
Yep.
but it's going to be a shuffle tournament. So teams will be made, and the best singular player will take it home.
Indeed. Well, I think it's the best healer and the best DPS. We'll have to
Yes,
split that, obviously, but
probably, yeah.
yeah. So hoping for 24 teams. So 8 healers, 16 DPS, but we'll see how it goes. And we hope. I think the biggest issue is just going to get enough healers. I think we'll always have enough DPS, but it's going to be the healer thing that's
For
going to be the
sure, for
hardest.
sure. And I think it's going to be, if you're out there and you're listening and
Mm-hmm.
you think, oh no, I don't really want to, I couldn't possibly sign up because I couldn't make a team, or I haven't been able to put something together. You don't need a team. You just turn up. It's
Yep.
just you. Come
Yep.
in, get involved, especially if you're a healer. Like it's just a no-brainer. You get the opportunity potentially to play with some really big, fantastic players, who sign up as well. It'd be awesome. It's such a great community kind of fun more than anything. And plus, you'll
Yes.
have me and so you'll have the bigger Moran and the big Moran out on the desk, kind of casting your fantastic gameplay to the best of their ability, which is, it's there. It's definitely an ability for sure.
It is. Wow, I'm not sure if do we have enough room for that many Morans on a disc on a desk. It's
We'll make it work. We'll make it work.
All right. Well, now that we've made sure everybody heard about that, let's get into the subject analysis and talk about trying to be a leader in PvP.
I'm gonna light you up, sweet cheeks.
Indeed. So this is going to be a fun little one. This is just a good conversation, I think, that really needed to happen. But ultimately, this idea sprang into my head after having a conversation with Big Moran over on Twitter, when he was saying how he was disparaging on Twitter about his shuffle games when the DPS in his lobby wouldn't communicate and try to pick or call a target. And I guess then once the gates opened, chaos somewhat ensued, as DPS 1 went that way, DPS 2 went that way, and he's kind of caught in the middle trying to heal people. So so I'm just kind of thinking, hold on. So the one other thing he said is that it's not his job to lead. When I said, why don't you just call it? So Jake, have you ever heard that? Have you ever been in like any sort of lobby where you expected a certain person to lead, or that you were upset that, say, in like a solo shuffle lobby, that the healer started trying to tell people what to do?
No, never. I mean, I might disagree. Like it's a difficult question because obviously we now have BGB, so Battleground Blitz as an option. So where I'm used to kind of RBGs, like where you would form a team that you'd all get on voice, and you'd have a target caller and a leader, and I'm very much used to those concepts. And normally, you let the leader lead unless they've made really bad calls, and then people start talking. But often, I think in shuffle at least, and in arenas as well, like it's good to have a discussion about who you want to go, so you're on the same page and you kind of know how to react. Like a lot of the time in shuffles, depending on what I'm playing, I'll be like, I want to do this. If this happens, I might do this, just so that they have an idea that when things are going wrong, this is how I'm going to try and counterplay it. And I think that is a double-edged sword, because obviously then that means the other guys know exactly what you're going to do when faced with a similar problem. But I think actually, like, it's a good thing when you zone into a lobby and everyone's like, yo, I think we should go this guy. And it's like, yeah, if we can't go this guy, let's swap this guy. See how it goes. And that's good. Communication is good. It means that you're kind of you have a much higher chance of winning than if you said nothing and just kind of PvE your way to victory or loss.
Fair. So it's interesting then. So what do you do when you end up in a lobby or in some sort of a group setting where you don't agree with the person trying to lead? You think their calls are bad?
Well, this is the thing. I'm one of those people where if I disagree with something, I'll go, okay, I disagree, but I'll let them play it out. And if it works, then great. I'm wrong. But if it doesn't, and I'm right, I will say it then. Like, but I think it's incredibly rude. Maybe this is from because I would think about if I did this in person, or if I'm doing that with a friend, I'd consider that quite rude. To kind of like have an idea for something and someone goes, nah, that's bad, let's try this instead. And it sort of becomes a bit normalized in gaming, even though most of us are not playing it competitively, where it's kind of like a job. Like if you're professional, like if you're sort of competing in the AWC and everything, then yeah, fair enough. Like if someone has a bad idea and the consensus is that it's bad, by all means say it. Get out there and interrupt them, because it's important, because this is your livelihood. But from a gaming point of view, if you're getting like pressed by someone's opinion and it might be wrong, then you need to chill out. So for me, when that happens, like I just leave it be. Like if I zone into a shuffle and I'm like, let's go priest, and they go, nah, I think priest is bad, let's do this, I'll be like, okay, let's give it a try. But if it doesn't work, then I'll know for the future that won't work, and kind of do my own thing more. Like it's kind of got to play it by ear. But I think genuinely speaking, if I disagree, I'm not gonna make a big song and dance it, because the last thing you want to do is kind of like annoy your teammate. Because I've seen guys get really petty where they just start like
Yeah.
AFKing. And
Yeah.
bear in mind, with how squished the season is, I saw this happen at like 2K CR basically in
What?
Shuffle, and it's like, these are sort of, you're playing with rank 1 players, and there's a guy that's just given up and is just like pressing like the backspace key and like walking backwards and doing nothing because someone has like flamed him in the lobby, and now he's being a child. So it's like it's not very conducive to kind of winning your lobby, really.
Yeah, that boggles my mind when I hear about that stuff. I guess is it so the the training that I've had quite a bit of leadership training,
Mm.
but one of the things we always found, especially early on in the leadership training we did, was there's times to be the leader and there's times to be the follower, right? And when you've given somebody the power to be the leader, um, let them lead. If they're doing something horribly wrong, unless it's like unless somebody's going to die, which in this game it's not real death. Obviously, I do stuff in real life here, right? So unless somebody
Yeah.
doesn't, as long as somebody's not going to die, you know, then yes, we just okay, we'll try it your way and see how this goes, and maybe it works out. Maybe it's not the most efficient way, but hey, it worked, great. But otherwise, we don't all sit around and be like, no, we think you're, yeah. Then that you just end up in a discussion of no and an analysis to death with no action, which you can't do, especially in this. It's a video game, right? Like, I mean, at the end of
Yeah.
the day, and I get that. Yes, there's personal MMR and personal CR, character rating and all that stuff. And if you lose, then you lose out on a bunch of points, and then it takes you forever to get it back. I get time. Time is value to people, and this is their video game. It's meant to be fun. But I think if this is meant to be fun and your fun is only built out of winning, then I would question if you're actually finding the game fun, or if you're just addicted to the dopamine hits of winning, and then you're playing for the wrong reason. But that's I guess a conversation for another day. Um, so I guess because I would come back to the whose job is it to lead in a team. I'm on the same I'm on the same side with you. I think anybody could be the leader. I think if somebody makes a call and okay, that sounds like a good idea, let's do it. Then off we go. If it's a bad idea, maybe like I said, right back, challenge it slightly. I don't think that's a good idea. I think this might be a better idea. If everybody agrees, then great. If people disagree and they want to go with the other one, then okay, let's go. I guess the harder part there is, so for RSS it's solo queue. I mean, really, you're only with that one group of two other people for that short period of time until somebody dies, and then it rotates. When you're talking arena, it's twos or threes, so it's either stranger where you just walk away, or there's a friend and then you're gonna stick around because they're your friend. I feel with like RBGs and Blitz, well, RBGs, it's a very structured game format, right? So you're dealing with 9 other people. Something tells me that you're not going to have a big petty conversation. Like, it's not. I think people will either just walk away from that if it's just a no voice YOLO. But chances are you're pretty invested in the people to begin with. So I'm guessing that you've probably already handed over the reins of leadership to somebody, and that's that, right? Maybe
Yeah, I
call
mean,
it. Sorry.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
RBGs are a whole other can of worms, though, in terms of communication. I don't know if you've ever listened to the any of the really high rated comms, like especially back in the day, like they it was basically the leader was you, because obviously everyone is really good at that top end, like everyone knows exactly what they're doing, they're very, very good at what they do. It's basically the guy that kind of shouts the loudest, that kind of does the comms, and they're like brutal. There's there are some guys from my memories in that time period who just were just brutal in what they said, because you have to be, as you say, like, you know, you've got all those people that you're trying to organize. It's a lot. So yeah, I mean, it's like you need a singular voice, whereas in something
Yes.
like BGB, or nothing wrong with having like a few people sort of chiming in to try and get people to the place that they need to, especially as most of the time it is no voice. So
Yeah, it's yeah. Aside from the personalities that we have in RPGs, not all of them are like that. Not gonna lie, there's some really great people that play rated BGs, but you're not wrong. Like once you start getting to the super high rated, I feel there's and I'm not sure if the leadership personalities, if it's just that they don't know any better, or they think that that's how it has to be done because they are emulating somebody that they learned from, and that some of the original toxicity there has just been perpetuated. You know what I mean?
yeah, I think it's mostly because it's a very small community and always has been, like since
Yeah.
its inception. Like Arena's always been way more popular, but at the same time, you know, you've got people that, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with a lot of the communication. I think a lot of the communication is really good, and it's sort of, you know, it yeah, it's loud and it can be aggressive, but it gets people to where they need to go, and that's yeah, that's a good thing. But it's not conducive in the long run. That's why, you know, these players end up like, you know, playing arena with the same people, and everyone's like, I don't want to play with this guy. This guy's like screaming at me, and it's
Yeah.
just incredibly toxic, because you kind of have to be in order for, you know, to get the kind of message across, really, more than anything, because
Um,
you need people to do stuff.
I would disagree. I don't think you need to degrade people and not
Well, yeah,
respect
not
people.
degrade. Yeah, yeah.
But that's how a lot of these leaders sound, and that's how they come across. Is that
Mm.
they yell and degrade people and call people names and stuff like that. I don't think you actually need to do that. It's quite proven now in today's leadership that you, that actually isn't leadership. That's
No, I
just
agree.
and there's a number of people that actually tone that out. Like when you yell at them, their brain actually just like whoop, and they don't hear anything because
Mm.
it's just it's just too much. It's too asinine to their brains. Just like I don't understand why I'm being degraded as if like I'm 3 years old. Like
Yeah.
anyway, um,
Yeah, I mean, it's basic. I mean, I totally agree. I
mhm.
completely agree on that front. I just think some of these guys have played at this level for such a long time that if you're not kind of like giving them the, not that I personally, this is not how I do it, but from what I hear and what's happened, like people just um they don't respond as quickly as, because everyone also thinks they're right. So you kind of need someone to go, hey,
Mhm.
look, this is my group. Just you know, let me lead it, kind of thing. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just my experience. That
No,
has been, and it's not.
I don't. I'm not discounting your experience. I'm just thinking like of ways. You know, I've had experiences like that too, where I've been in a group
Mm,
and people started yelling and saying bad things, either in chat typing
yeah,
it or in my ears, and I'm like, yeah, I don't need to listen to that.
yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
you
Yeah,
know,
for sure, for
like
sure.
I'll recognize when I do something wrong, and okay, that's on me, and that's me learning, but that doesn't mean that you treat me like that. Like I am still a
For
human
sure.
being. Um,
Mm,
it you
sure.
just brought up a point though, is ego, and I
Yeah,
think that's a issue with a number of people who pin their that EP, right? You know that points number. You know,
yeah,
like, well, it's true, right? Like they have egos. They think that they're great. They think they're like this super person playing a video game, and that you know, thou shalt listen to me because I have this higher number than you, or I have that much more experience than you. And it actually reminds me back of the days of real war, where a number of people that had different ideas ended up becoming great strategists and won a number of battles and wars by not doing the way things were always done. But they were also, you know, back in the day when leaders weren't actually leaders, they were just, you know, aristocracy, and they would look down and make fun of these people. because of that. Um, so I think that might be actually part of the battle is if you're going to lead and recognize that you're going to be butting up against egos out there, and people are going to fight you if they think if they think they're right and you're wrong, which then comes to that newer age of, there's having conversations and agreeing to disagree, and nowadays there's conversations where I'm right, you're wrong, and I shall beat that conversation until death, until you give up and I'm right. And
Yeah, exactly. For sure, for sure. I think um, it's such an important point that like I think it's there are better ways. There are way better ways to do things, you know. And I think egos are such a big part of that. I mean, it's just crazy. Like I think another thing as well. I think consider how like how the game is at the minute. Like everything's really deflated in threes and in shuffle. An example today, I was playing threes. We were playing God Comp, testing out some of the Shadow Priest stuff. I queued into Lontar and Blizzo on playing. I think I can't remember if it was Shaman, but Blizzo was on Warrior, on Arms Warrior, testing stuff out clearly. And I mean, we won. Like we won in the end, which is crazy. So like I've technically beaten 2 rank 1 AWC competitors, but why am I queuing into them at 1800 in threes? Like why? Like why
yeah,
have we got so many rank ones? And everyone's like struggling mentally because you're like, oh man, like I've gotten like 3K before. Like
yeah,
surely I should be doing better than this. But actually, when you realize you're queuing into people that have normally played at much higher ratings than you, but because all of our the rating is so deflated and there's not that many people actually realistically playing the game as much,
yep,
it just feels like it's such a struggle to get up there. For me, that never makes the game fun. Like, people
no,
that have gotten there before should really be able to continue to get up there. You know, so people
yeah,
like there's people that have been sort of top on the ladder like over 2-4 at this stage, who don't have it because because of the deflation, and it's bonkers. It's really really crazy. So
yeah. I want to take a little pin on. I want to take that MMR thing and just put a pin in it because I actually want to
yeah,
talk
sure.
about that in the news a little bit because I think
Hmm.
that's a valid conversation. But as far as leading and following and running into that sort of event in arenas, I think that's the one thing that really becomes troublesome when you're doing, especially when you're doing twos and threes,
Hmm.
and you're picking people from LFG because there's such a habit of, especially through LFG, people seem to treat people like NPCs and not like other people. And so as soon as there's a loss, they'll just drop. And then you're stuck having to go through LFG and sit there for an hour waiting until you finally get a teammate again, right?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
and it's no fault of yours. It just happened to be the time that you queued into, like you said, some rank ones that are at at 18 or 1600 or whatever, just pissing around and having fun.
Mm.
You're like, oh great. Um, Kudos to you for taking a win off of Lone Tar and Blizzo though. Holy crap, buddy.
No, it's. I mean, but that isn't like. Unironically, this isn't the first time. And yeah, you know what? It's
Yeah.
not them playing their main team. They haven't got like Mercy with them, and they haven't got like the big dogs. But
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, we did well. We were also playing Fire Mage God Comp, so it wasn't even like a proper, but the better version of God Comp. And
Well,
yeah, like, but this isn't the first time. You just queue into these guys a lot, and sometimes you nab a win, and it's great. Like you capitalize on a mistake, or you really counter their comp, and it's fantastic, and it feels great. But like realistically, 1800 never used to be sort of the place where you saw rank ones. Like, I mean, I remember BFA, which many consider to be the kind of downfall expansion, where you would be sort of you'd be queuing into, you wouldn't even see a rank one, let alone a gladiator player, until you got way over 2-4, because that's where, because the MMR was so high. Anyway, we were not talking about that, but regardless, the point is that like you build up a certain level of expectations of yourself, and then
yeah.
you go into a season where the deflation isn't is too strong, and yeah, your ego is massively checked, and
Yep.
that can make it stressful for when you're kind of making friends and trying to find new teammates in arena because you're pushing
Oh, dude,
and
totally.
struggling at 1900.
Yeah. Well, and we talked about this before. I remember when we talked with Holinka, I mentioned that I think there's an issue with the MMR system and that it needs to to be relooked at. And he kind of challenged me on what that was, and I had a hard time trying to express that. But even Big mentioned that being that you reach 2500 in season 2 and then season 3 you struggle to even make 1800. Like why is that? And it's hard for people to grasp that they made some number in this season, and the following season or the next expansion they can't even breach what's conceptually an easy number to get to, right? Like they said there's people that are struggling to get 1800 right now in season 1 or even to 2K for whatever reason. And in the meantime, you just came off of a season where you had, let's say, I don't know, 2500, and now you can't even make 2K. Like, what's going on there? It's very demoralizing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll hardly agree.
Which then again causes emotions and causes egos and it all snowballs. I guess one question then is, if you are in, let's say you're in a team and you're struggling, the person you're following is they're not making great calls, and you're unable to take over the reins of leadership. Is it time to bail? Like, do you slash AFK and eat the debuff, or do you just play it out and assume you're gonna lose points either way?
I personally, I don't think quitting is ever a good idea. Like, I think,
Interesting.
I always think definitely play it out. Like, like it's, never, you kind of like never like try things out. I think sometimes it takes time to like get used to stuff. Like when you're queuing, it definitely takes me a while. Like, I would never want to kind of give up on that. I know a lot of people do. But it's just like, to be honest with you, actually, everyone I queue with, I've met through LFG as well.
Yep.
And if I'd given up playing with them, I just like,
Interesting.
So if I just kind of just gone, then yeah, I wouldn't have any of the people that I have so much fun with now.
Interesting. And I guess that's different. Like if there's somebody you like playing with versus there's somebody you're like, this ain't working. Like we're just not jiving, I guess. So it's kind of a gut call. I remember, and maybe this is, I'm not sure they fixed this or not for this expansion, but I'm pretty sure back in Dragonflight, people were dropping, like, especially in Rated Soul Shuffle, they were slash AFK and eating the loss of character rating because you took that debuff, you took that hit, but your MMR didn't get destroyed. You didn't lose MMR. So then when you joined up another game, now you're like, let's say you're at 1700 and now you're down at, I don't know, what's that, 100, it's 100 points or something you lose or whatever. So it'd be like
150,
150, yeah. So you'd be at 1550, but you still have that like 1800 MMR. So now you're still in that lobby, that higher lobby, but now you have that bigger delta. So then when you win, if you get like 4 and 2, you get way more points and you climb back up, versus if you played it all the way through and you took that loss, you'd hit your MMR and your CR, and so then you'd have to climb and build the 2. And I'm not sure if that's still happening.
You're making a very compelling case for it, Gerissar. No, it is still happening. I think it still does exist, sadly.
Yeah,
there are people that do it. It's definitely looked down upon. Like, I don't think anyone likes anyone that does that. So if you're going out there and dropping like on purpose, you're not going to make any friends, that's for sure. And I think that's the cool thing about Solo Shuffle. Like, you can make friends.
Well, yes, I agree, and I don't think anybody should drop a game either. I'm just saying that's why I understood people were doing it. So, I mean, it doesn't stop anybody else from dropping the game before the gates finally close and the game's over, right? But
exactly.
okay. don't want to be. Shh, don't listen to Gerissar. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Just play the game.
You can't still do this. You can't like they're wafting the hand in front of me at the minute. Like I know you can't see, but you don't want to drop rating. It's really bad. Please don't.
Yeah.
It's very, very sad.
Yeah. I am not an expert. Do not listen to.
I feel like I was about to say like maybe there's a little confession coming out here. It's sort of like yes, I know it well. When I dropped 3 games yesterday, my MMR. Is still...
I had to protect my 800 MMR, man. I couldn't lose it.
We played 3s the other week, and I think there genuinely was a team at like 1200, and they lost rating. I was like, that's rough. Seeing as everything kind of like balances out at 1500.
Yeah,
there's meant to be something, but
where's
it's crazy.
Where's the protection level now? It must be 1100 then or something.
I think it must be. I mean, you get double points all the way up to 1550, I think, and then at that point, it's if you keep dropping, I guess it must do. But I've never seen it go. To be fair, like I've never seen anyone drop below that.
Yeah, that's something special. That's anyway. Okay. Tips and tricks. What would be a good tip or trick? So if you're in a lobby and you think you should be lead, do you just start leading, or do you do like a pause 2, 3 and see if anybody says anything? Like, do you immediately start typing, or do you just wait?
It's a very good question. I'll tell you the honest answer. No, I'll tell you what I think is the right answer, and then I'll tell you my honest answer.
All right.
I think personally, depending on what you're doing, like if you're doing solo shuffle, I think personally, if you have insight, if you have knowledge, if you have experience, and you want to properly climb, like get high, then what you need to do is you need to type in and then say what you want to go. Like, are you going there? Who are you going? Are you going healer? Like, what are you going to do? Explain to your team where you're going to go, because it's so important to kind of help your teammates work around you. Like, for example, if you're a hunter and you're going, I'm going to open up on this guy and I'm going to trap the healer, just pop all your cooldowns and then you've got next. Like, even saying something along those lines, it means that the first, 30 seconds of the game is mapped out and your team knows exactly what you're doing, what they should do. Like I've had a lot of conversations where pretty much, I've said exactly the same things. Like, this is what I want to do. I might do this. I may move this. Let's try this if that doesn't work. And I think that's ideal. Just stay positive, because people want to work with you if you're staying positive. And as you said before, Gerissar, when there is, when you are horrible, like the people that rage and kind of like, that's not going to lead them to victory. They're not going to want to do anything. They're going to want to just sort of like completely crush you and then do badly on your own team just to spite you, which is what I've seen. And that is the honest. That's what I think people should do, in my opinion. However, my honest answer is a lot of the time I queue into solo shuffle. I don't really type anything until someone says something, and then I kind of make a suggestion. Like, truthfully, I do that a lot of times. Sometimes a lot, but then also on the flip side, I do actually type things a lot myself. But yeah, it's you've just got to chat and have an open communication.
Yeah, I think the hardest thing, especially in arena, because it's so dang fast, is that once those gates open, you don't really have a chance to talk anymore. It's just,
you definitely don't know.
Yeah, so I think your best chance is to type while you have a chance, and then otherwise you're done. I like the idea of, like, as soon as the lobby is there and you start typing, unless you have like something else you have to type, if you're like switching, checking out your talents or something like that, obviously yes, then let's do the chit chat. Let's start figuring out who we want to attack, what the game plan should be. At one point, and this is fair from chat, is that people are pretty quick to report as well. So I wonder if that's the reason why some people are so hesitant to now say things in chat, is a fear out of being reported for, people report for anything nowadays. Sometimes it results in a very, a silence. So long as, I guess, you don't use any disparaging words. You shouldn't eat a ban, but that doesn't mean that the system doesn't, you don't have to fight an automated ban or something like that because AI does AI things.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a
I
difficult
think
one.
you're right. But
Yeah.
you're right though. There is that fear. Like, I mean, I won't lie to you. I report people when they are
Yeah.
toxic. Like,
Well, good.
I will do that. Like,
Good.
it's necessary because I don't want those people in my game. But to be fair though, at the same time, there are a lot of toxic people in WoW, especially WoW
Yeah.
PvP, and it's sad to say. And I think we've seen more and more of them get eat permanent bans, and so they won't play anymore. And therefore, a lot of the player base is dwindling because they were originally the players that have been around for a long time, queuing day in day out, that have left. A lot of them were very toxic, and they probably have gotten banned with the increase. And maybe not necessarily a bad thing that they're gone, but it is something to consider that as to why things are so deflated beyond that. But I do think if someone is horrible to you, report them for sure. And if they flame other
Yeah.
people, report them too. It's terrible.
Agreed. I think I've asked you this before, but do you ignore people that are like that?
Yeah, I do that a lot. Like if
Okay.
someone whispers me, sometimes I
Yeah.
will say a response and then ignore them. I
Okay.
use the block. I use the block feature a lot more
Mm.
nowadays. I think there's a lot of weirdos out there who like to say horrible things for the sake of being horrible. And I
Yeah.
think actually in reality, you don't need to care about what they think because they're just like, they're sad losers. That's in their head, they have justified, I'm going to be horrible to this other
Yeah.
adult or potentially child. There are sort of like teenagers that play this game.
Yep.
I'm going to be horrible to that person for no reason other than they've given me a mild discomfort, I guess, in a video game. You know,
Oh, yeah.
it's bonkers the kind of lows that people go to, and that's kind of how I view it from a kind of positive mindset aspect. And that reality, I can just block them. I don't need to see them ever again.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, if they continue to harass you after that point, then that's a whole different situation. But if
Well,
you're able to block people, then block them.
the reason why I ask is I'm pretty sure that the game, when you have somebody on ignore, you'll never be put in their lobby again. Like that's a thing back from random dungeon days when they added the
Oh
slash
yeah,
ignore feature.
I
So
think it might be. I don't know if it
yeah.
is or not, but to be fair, I've not seen people that I've had on my ignore, and I've not been in a lobby with someone where they haven't communicated with me. But you
Mhm.
wouldn't know actually, maybe because you'd never see what they said.
No, but you probably recognize like if somebody's burned that much. Well, it depends how big your ignore list is. If your ignore list is over 200, you might be like, I don't remember you. But the only thing there is that it's character. I'm pretty sure it's character based. So if they
Mm.
hop on their their Ellie shaman and flame you, and then you ignore them, they can hop over on their arms warrior and start flaming you, and then you have to
Yeah,
ignore that. So um,
exactly.
okay. Uh, one other item, and I want you to talk about this one because you're the one that added it. So, what's the other part of leadership in PvP that you were wanting to talk about?
Well, yeah. So the one that I sort of brought up, which I think is an important one, because it's not just leadership from we're not just talking about leadership from a game point of view, like I'm the leader of this BGB or this shuffle on our team or this RBG, or even in threes, you're not kind of like you're making the calls. There are people that do that. It's more about like the community itself's leadership. Like we're talking about behavior, what you say on Twitter, how you react to other people. And I think that there's a really key thing that's missing in that for example, a lot of streamers, you look up to them as a kind of guideline for how you should behave in the game, and sometimes there are some people that do act really badly. Like you see a lot of people flame other people. I know that I've got a friend of mine who found himself in lobbies with a well-known streamer who he's playing a slightly different build of the class, like something a bit more experimental that worked really well,
Yep.
but isn't what they're used to. And he was listening to the stream, and all he could hear was this guy absolutely kind of like go off on him and like calling him all different stuff. And it's horrible. And like that's not what you want to hear.
No.
That's not good. That's not good leadership. It's not like, you are talking to 300 odd people or watching you. You should be saying stuff that's like kind of supportive, like, oh man, this guy, I don't think he's got it. He's clearly doing something weird. In fact, actually, I'm going to tell you who the best person for that is. One of the best people for community leadership, I think, and I think he does it unintentionally, is Peekaboo. Because
Really?
yeah, and because when he does teaching and when he's kind of like demonstrating how he can be, like, he is the least toxic person ever, in my opinion. Like, one of the least toxic people. Maybe he's more toxic on like a personal note. I don't know that, but from an outward point of view, he isn't.
Mm-hmm.
And even when someone does something bad, he's like, "Oh yeah, okay, wouldn't have done that myself, but you know what? You learn something new every day." That's the kind of like aspect of it. And even if someone does something like has got like the most horrendous build, Peekaboo is still kind of going like, "Yo, maybe he's cooking, and that kind of makes you feel good and you feel like part of the community, and that's why he gets so many people that watch him, because there's actually not only is an entertainment value, but actually it just makes you feel nice. You feel like you're a part of this sort of this multi-rank one, BlizzCon competitor is saying, you know what, maybe you're cooking. Who knows? I mean, this could be crazy. Or like giving you advice. Like I think he did a video once, very recently, of critiquing Venruki's sub rogue, and obviously Pika is like sort of a massive sub rogue fanatic, and like it was really interesting seeing the kind of communication flow between them, and it was or rather from the critique and the kind of not coaching but kind of looking over the VOD review, I think it was. And it was such a pleasant way of doing it. And so that is someone that I think is really important. So one of the things that we wanted to talk about is that idea of kind of like not just sort of like a positive mindset, but actually just kind of like a good guy leadership. Like I think it's so important in the community to have people that are willing to kind of lead by example in how we should kind of treat each other.
Yeah, I think we've had enough examples out there of people who are, well, I guess this is the hard thing, is that we out there, the forward facing people, the things that a lot of people see are content creators, and unfortunately the it's a kind of a person, it's a human problem. There's people want to, people see, they can't drive past an accident without slowing down and looking, right? They can't not watch the train wreck. They can't not watch the news for the bad news, right? If news was always filled with good stuff, first, nobody would believe it because they know the world is actually horrible, but nobody wants to watch that, right? So I guess the issue there is that the forward face of the WoW PvP community are content creators, and a majority of the content creators get their views and get their content and make money by being the negativity seems to sell, right? A person can put out a YouTube video which is all nice and talks about nice things and great people and all that, and it'll get a few views. But if they put out a video that has them disparaging on somebody, or ripping somebody's VOD apart, or all that other stuff, that gets hundreds, if not thousands, of views, or millions, depending on the extravagance and who that person is. And so I wonder if this is just one of those things where it's magnified because it's content creators trying to monetize and make money by getting view clicks, versus also the nice people who have given up trying to make content, or they just don't want to bother because they don't want to be that person, and so they are the silent majority while we're listening to the toxic minority, which then makes the rest of the community all look toxic. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it totally does. Totally does. And I think it just breeds just the wrong kind of behavior from people. And I think what would make WoW so much better is just kind of like a more just people like doing things that just sort of help those that watch them not like. I mean, there are a lot of kids that do watch them as well. Like like there is the content creators are viewed by majority of different people, and even myself, even yourself, Gerissar, there are people that watch us on the podcast and also individually, and it would imagine if we were kind of sitting there going like, if you see anyone that is terrible at the game, you should let them know. Like, be honest with them, tell them. Like, no, you don't do that. Like, at the end of the day, you have no idea what that person is. Why have
Well,
they sat down and
hold on, hold on.
oh
I think you can give constructive criticism, but
mm.
you can do it in a nice way,
Yeah, exactly. Like
right?
for example, that tweet that I made the other week with the
Yeah,
warrior, like he was like saying to me, I have no idea how to connect, and I was like, I gave him some
yeah,
advice on what I would do to connect,
yeah.
and about choosing when you use certain things, and that's constructive. It's not like he kind of was venting about not being able to do anything, and I said, well, how have you tried this? And that's constructive. If
Yeah,
I was to go like, I wouldn't bother, you're terrible,
yeah.
like like it's sort of it just that guy's not going to change. He's going to
No,
feel deflated. He's going to not want to play anymore. So like,
well,
what's
of
the
course,
point?
of course, and I think so. So there's always two things. There's being able to provide constructive criticism, but in a way where people where you do it nicely. Don't tear a person down. But then the other side is you have to have a person that's willing to take that criticism, be willing to accept it. Somebody said in chat, having a teacher, so if you do an exam, by all means, I want, well, that's kind of wrong because, so if I do an exam and a peer says, oh, you did that wrong, and this is what you should have done, and this is what you should have done, that's great. But if I have a schoolmate come up and be like, oh my God, you suck so bad. I can't believe you got that question wrong. How did you not know the answer? I'm probably going to want to punch that person in the throat. I won't, because I'm not the kind of person, but I'm just like, those feelings those are the kind of feelings that rise up when you hear that stuff. Right. Versus if somebody's like, oh yeah, oh shoot, I'm so sorry you got that wrong. Yeah. It seems like you forgot to, you subtracted instead of added, that's a common, that's a mistake that happens in math. It's okay. You forgot the negative sign, whatever. Um, that's, I think though is that too often, especially in, it's very competitive. We're talking about the PvP scene. It's very competitive. There's a bunch of emotions there. There's the heat of the battle and the aftermath. And, people are upset because they lost character ratings, so now they have to build that back up, which takes time. And so, I think this is really that spot where a person, if you're going to talk to somebody, and you're going to try and provide some advice, first, I think you should do three things. One is take a deep breath and try to settle your emotions, settle your heart rate. Two, think about what you did in the game and what you could have done better before you start going around pointing fingers. And then three is first reach out to the person and ask them if they want to talk about what happened and find ways to improve. And if you can't slow your heart rate down, maybe you should take another breath. If you can't find anything wrong with your gameplay, you might have an ego problem. Not saying you do, just saying might. And three, if the person doesn't want to hear from you, then don't bother. Because unsolicited advice is the last thing anybody actually really wants. So
Facts. Yeah, and there's a lot of unsolicited advice that goes around. Like, that I think there are a lot of some very delusional people. But anyway, that's what I'm kind of looking for. You need more sort of content creators and more people that are just not just necessarily like weirdly or like fake positive, but people that are lights in the community that kind of make people happier, and just that's what you're meant to be there. You're meant to be there for entertainment purposes, but at the same time, it's just like, as you said, very rightfully so, they're the face of a lot of the WoW PvP community, because most of us digest that content through Twitch and YouTube, or TikTok, or certain other things like that. It's that's where you kind of eat all that up. And if all your kind of viewing is sort of like someone being incredibly toxic, you're going to end up becoming toxic as well.
Oh, indeed.
And toxicity doesn't make anyone want to stick around the community. All we end up doing is like filling it with toxic people. And there are a lot of non-toxic people out there, which is fantastic. And
Yep.
they're really great. But it's nice. It would be nice to kind of see more people be like that. But I
Oh,
suppose
I just want the number of times I've talked to people in the community about trying to get into PvP, and anybody in the PvE scene, they want to, but they're afraid of the toxicity, or they tried and they hit the toxicity and they're like, nope.
and that's sadly the LFG experience. So that's the issue. I think what needs to happen is there needs to be like a Blizzard run. I mean, it will, this is what I really enjoyed in the kind of classic scene. So especially in Wrath, because we didn't have the LFG system, there was this really amazing system that we used, that I thought was really, really cool, where you would go on a Discord for your server and you would post like what you want, what you're looking for, and then people would message you, and then you'd kind of chat. And when you're on Discord with people, you kind of stick around a bit longer. You have time to kind of figure out stuff. And we found a couple of players during Wrath that me and a friend end up playing with, and it was really great. And like actually, I quite enjoyed it. And although it wasn't like the best, it was something at least. So yeah, like it was quite an enjoyable experience overall. And yeah, so I think that's what we need. Is like we need like a proper Discord server that exists as a way to, you want to find partners, like just post in there and see who messages you, kind of thing. It kind of feels a lot better than LFG, where everyone wants you to have like 2.7 XP and bring like actual CR, and then you're sitting in the queue waiting for ages. It'd be nice to kind of have a bit more of that flexibility.
But there's already a number of communities. Like, so the World of PvP subreddit Discord has an LFG in there to find teammates. Because now it's just region based, right? You do everything through B tags. The Oasis Discord has LFG. Skill Capped has an LFG. There's a number. Actually, I'm not saying it. There's a number of streamers that have LFGs in some of their Discords. Not everybody. It's actually kind of few and far between. And there's a number of in-game communities. There's if you go into the in-game communities, you can find arena and RBG communities for brackets. They're every couple hundred, at least on the NA side. So, I mean, honestly, it's there already. I don't think like there's no other servers that need to be generated for this. I think you just have to
But like,
go and find.
wouldn't a Discord be way better, because it's like a place that everyone has like a fully dedicated, this is a WoW PvP Discord in which find stuff, chat about stuff. Like, I know that the forums kind of already do that, but I feel Discord's got access from everyone, right? Like user
not
friendly.
not everybody uses Discord. Not everybody likes to, but I fear that if a Blizzard ran a Discord, if a Discord was created like that under the basis that it was for that sort of a thing, I think people would expect that Blizzard was running it, and therefore nobody would moderate it. It would have to be moderated by Blizzard, in which case then it's beholden to just how much money Blizzard is willing or unwilling to put into it, and that's a risk. So I feel like there's communities that have already built themselves up, and if people are wanting that ability to reach out and find people outside a game, it's already there. I mean, honestly though, there's people out there that don't read hot fixes. They don't read the forum posts. They don't even read the news. They don't read anything until they're sitting in guild and somebody tells them. There's people that don't read anything, and these are the same people that say that they can't get anywhere. So they wouldn't even join the Discord anyways to find teammates, and then they just sit in trade chat and wonder why they can't find teammates.
Yeah,
or what,
I
I
get
don't know.
it. But I guess the other aspect of this is in terms of leadership, it would be great. It would be really good to see, and I think it's something that we're doing, which is fantastic is to see more player-led tournaments, stuff that kind of allows for new talent to kind of come up. And although like you won't see any of the big guys competing them because they need to, well, I say none of the big guys. You do see them. It's just it kind of has to be sort of worth their while, as you say.
Well,
Like
yeah.
it's most people do this for money reasons as well as being good at the game. But more tournaments like this means that there's more opportunities for Blizzard to see that actually it's worthwhile investing in. And actually, there are some of you out there that are incredibly smart and intelligent and really creative. It'd be fantastic to see what kind of people can kind of come up with. So new style
Yeah,
tournaments that could maybe be an inspiration for future events for Blizzard.
indeed. Indeed. And if anybody listening, if you decide to run a tournament, let us know. We'll happily shout it out. Try to signal boost and get people to you. Like, love to.
Exactly.
Especially like so these tournaments that we're hosting are only on the NA servers because I'm NA and so is Big. Sorry, Jake. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think we definitely need to have something similar going on over in EU if we can get that running. But yeah,
Well, I mean, what we could do is we could see how things go for the NA solo shuffle and plan an EU one.
yeah, we could do that too. But I'm just saying, like, we need more people. It's not
For
just
sure.
us.
For
Like,
sure.
we need other people to do the same thing.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
instead of telling people what to do, why don't we tell people the one thing we would change?
Well, that's a very good question. And it's the reason why we ask it every time because it's
Yeah.
an incredibly good question. You know what? Yes, I
What?
didn't hear yours from last week. So, what would you change?
It's not fair. I wasn't here. Okay. So the one thing I would change, do. I, ooh, just for communication wise, I would. This is like super simple, but I would change it that in Blitz, actually pretty much any BG, um, anybody can slash raid warn since nobody pays attention to chat.
Mm,
So obviously in rated BGs, that's not going to be a worry because it's structured and people aren't going to abuse it. In epics and regular blitz and all that stuff, I think it would help in communication because a lot of people get tunnel vision. They're not paying attention to chat, or they have that chat tab closed to something else, and yeah. So
So you'd want to give them the option to basically like choose to do that.
just
Like,
just
okay,
let anybody, yeah, if anybody who's playing in that game can slash RW and
yeah,
incoming the space or something like that and get it out there. So then nobody can say they didn't hear it, they didn't see it, they didn't know, nobody said anything. It's like, no, it was up there on the screen. You just ignored it because you were trying to get your DPS meters. You're trying to pad the meters. So,
exactly.
Jake, though, what about you? What's the one thing you
Well,
changed, buddy?
thankfully, your answer gave me enough time to really think about what I exactly wanted mine to be, and I would like there to be a like biannual BlizzCon championship. And like a big event that takes place not just in America but in Europe as well. And that's where they invite teams up. They absolutely ram the the kind of promotion up, and they use like for advertising, and they really like try and make
Mm-hmm.
WoW esports kind of a big thing where every year, every half year or so, like at the end of one of the cups, they have like a proper LAN where EU and NA and even like Korea and stuff can go head to head. You know, like rotate it every single time. Like actually, like have the championship be held somewhere in particular where people can actually go to. Like I would regularly buy a ticket to go watch the AWC if it was a LAN. You know, like I would get that ticket. Like
Okay.
and I think that's something that's really missing from Blizzard, that they could do
Yeah.
that. Whether or not they would, it would be something that's within their budget. But if they could make it big and really kind of try and promote the game to people, there is a huge community of people that would actually go out their way to watch the AWC. As much as many of these guys on the YouTube and Twitch channel that kind of make it a meme about the fact that, oh no, does anyone actually even play this game? There are tons of people that actually would really want to if they could. And I think it's a great way to kind of reawaken that love, especially some of the games recently have been so good. Imagine being there live, watching that on a big TV, seeing all the competitors kind of getting agitated, like up on their seats and kind of really pushing for it. As TJ Farrell is sort of like at 1% casting regrowths on himself, and you're just like, whoa, like how does he live that? And I think that could be something really cool, and I would change. That would be one of the things I change.
So I just have this question. I love your idea.
Yeah.
Right now I'm imagining some like the arena there in Cologne where there's two lineups. One's for healers and one's for DPS. And for every healer that walks through the door, two other people from the DPS line get to walk through.
Yeah.
And they just it's just a wall of, or tables upon tables of computers. Everybody just playing like a free for all, solo shuffles, getting as many points as they can, and then shimmy, 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 base at the end of the, after a day, then you have your, billboard of actual players for the top, whatever. And then you have 2 days of tournament gameplay. And then the rest of the people, it's, they can just keep playing RSS if they want, just having fun war games on the games, or they're all in chairs, just screaming at the players, watching everybody lose their shit until somebody wins.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that sounds really cool. Like, as I said, you could do a solo shuffle tournament like that. Absolutely, like LAN, and I think that would be really, really sick. Like, you get all the players out there, get as many as you can, and just have a big old couple of days of it. And it's like, massive event. Like, yeah, you're renting out the place for it, but you're selling loads of merch, you're selling loads of stuff.
Yeah.
And you could even turn it into a twin thing and have like an MDI sort of aspect as well. So you're not only just getting the PvPs, you're getting the PvEs as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's a dual event.
Love it. I love it.
So
Blizzard, hire that man.
Yeah, please. I'll take it. I can help you. You need me.
Well, whoa.
I wouldn't go that far. Yeah, as I said, I am the bigger Moran.
You are the bigger. Right? All right. On that, let's talk about the news.
All right. Who ordered up an extra large can of whoop ass?
Love Millhouse. So, news items. AWC Cup 1 finished on the 29th of September. Did you happen to watch that?
I did. I watched the first cup. I didn't see the second one. But I saw Cup 1. Yeah, Cup 1 was really, really good. And I didn't see the American one because I didn't see the American finals. I watched the opening brackets of both, and then the finals in EU. But the Americans were just too late, and I had an early shift the next day, so I wasn't able to really take part and watch that. But the EU finals were incredible. Like, it was really, really good.
Right?
Like, a lot of the games were really fantastic, very close. A lot of living well beyond their date. I mean, to quote Super Tees, many of the cats had their 9th and 10th life. So it was a very, very interesting thing to watch. And then in the NA one as well, which was fantastic, was Power Toads coming up from the lower bracket, knocked down. In fact, actually, I said this, and I was like, I was going to post this in the Twitch chat because I thought this was so good. Liffy came out with an amazing suggestion during the NA brackets. Like, he turned around to like Super or Zico, I can't remember. It might have been Zico, and said, "Can you imagine if Cubsy's team is just like purposely lost on this weird comp? They're now down in the lower bracket to have an easier time back up to the grand finals." And that's exactly what they did. Yep. Whether or not that was actually what they intended to do is a very different question, but very astute and pretty interesting that they came back all the way and then won in the end.
I'll be honest, I love Liffy's takes. Like, he's very on point for a lot of his takes. I think his post-game analysis is really spot on. Did they do it on purpose? I don't know. I think that's a really risky move to take, is to put yourself down in the lower, assuming that you're going to be able to get to the end and win. Like, it's shark infested waters down there, man. Like, it's testy.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Bless
Yeah,
me.
I mean, it's risky. Like wouldn't want to actually go down there on purpose, but sometimes, I mean, and then we need to talk about Cup too, because the most important thing there is that Echo got knocked down to the lower bracket, even though they did eventually come back through
Yep,
and take the victory. They did get knocked down. They did lose a game,
they did.
lose a series to um, Fusaton's team with Zpi and
Yeah, that was
and
amazing.
others. It was a really good series to watch. I watched Zico watch the VOD of how they beat Echo, and it's one of those things. It's crazy because Echo's such an incredible team. You
Yep.
can understand why that like them losing is like a shock. Like in NA, I don't think you have that, because in NA, like every team is good
Yes.
and they compete, but in EU, Echo is just beyond good. They
They're
are
another level.
incredible.
They are.
They're on
Yeah.
another level, which is
Yeah.
why I want the lands, because I want to see
Me
them
too.
go up
Me
against,
too.
with the same ping, go up against the NA teams, like
Yep.
really see like Welcome to the Jung versus Echo, and just see what happens, like see whether they're able to take them out.
Indeed.
It's an important thing. So, but
I
very good
agree.
AWC so far.
Oh, it's been amazing. I am a little concerned though. I saw some people. Well, Absurge was replying back to somebody that was disparaging on the fact that the move got knocked out again and didn't make it to the final
Mm.
for NA, which is 2 weeks in a row or 2 cups in a row, and I'm a little upset by that just because it seems like people seem to forget that it's a points game. Like it's a point system where like there was what was it? Was it last year? I think it was the year before that. Liquid or CD's team, like they didn't win a single cup, but they still were able to, like I think they won or they got second place on in NA, like without winning cups. But it's like people seem to get all upset because a powerhouse team or their favorite team isn't winning, and they expect them to, which is a little weird. But Welcome to the Jung is they're dangerous. Like that's hard. Like they really the teams really need to watch out for them.
For
Um,
sure. No, I agree
so
for sure.
I think so. That's the last 2 cups. Want to talk quickly about hot fixes. So obviously, hot fixes came through uh, last reset. Just yesterday for NA, just today for EU. There's a whole bunch of class tuning, PVE and PvP. There's a whole bunch of comments. People, I see to again, talking about how DK's got a nerf. I think Beastmaster, it looked like they were getting buffed, but now apparently it was like a 5% nerf that they got across the board, if I'm not mistaken.
It's
Uh,
basically, it doesn't look like a nerf,
yeah,
but it because it looks like a buff. But apparently there's some sort of interaction where actually they've had a stealth PvP modifier put on,
yeah,
um, which no one announced, which I think was kind of bad. But on the so it's actually a 5% nerf, which to be honest with you, I'm fine with, because the hunters have been buffed beyond anything
right.
possible. Like they're just superhuman, really. It's the only ranged class that has unstoppable damage,
Mm-hmm.
and everything they do hits incredibly hard.
Yeah,
So and yeah, and they not only that, they have so many defensives. It's crazy. So yeah, I know there's
right.
a lot of salty like hunters out there,
Yeah,
and I just think it's sort of like speaking about egos, you need to be able to recognize when your class is absolutely busted, like it is
yeah,
cracked.
yep,
And just having that as an ability, having so many walls is just mental. But anyway,
yeah,
yeah, it's sort of that was one of the things. I think Ferals had something as well. Big DK nerfs, buffs
yeah,
to arms warriors as well, and I mean, well, there was a slight feral nerf, but it wasn't like a major thing.
not at
Some
all.
buffs to fire mage and buffs to shadow priest.
Yeah. Speaking of priests, can you imagine the disc didn't get touched?
I know, it's bonkers that.
That seems a little. All right. This reminds
They're
me.
insanely
Yeah,
good.
it is. This reminds me. I think it was 2017 when
Hmm.
Farrell was like amazingly good. It was Disc Priest, and Farrell, and they were
Hmm.
just ransacking the ladders. Uh, there's a team from UK. I think Flappers was on it,
Yeah.
and they made it to they cinched a card spot to BlizzCon, and then I can't remember. I think it was Disc got nerfed slightly, and something else got nerfed. It was either Hunter or Feral, and the comp was never good for the rest of the rest of the ladder, and so they ended up going to BlizzCon playing jungle on the like they were in the finals, and they got knocked out like immediately because they didn't play anything else. That they were just they were a jungle team, and yeah, like it was
It's
nuts
tough.
though. Yeah,
Stuff. It's just crazy how like one change, and this is the problem that I've always had with Blizzard, is that they really swing the nerf bat hard for no reason.
yeah,
That's the problem. Like you get hit by something just like massive for no reason. It just makes it just unbearable. So you
Yeah.
have this amazing potential to have a really cool, spec, and like it only needs like a 5% nerf to kind of make it to make it sort of more fair. I mean, but Priest is just incredibly good. Like in terms of actual CC, like stopping CC, they have Fade, they have Death, they have so many different things to kind of stop people from
yeah.
putting them in CC, and then just the most like every shield is like a cocoon. It's
Yeah, I think
it's
that's-
crazy.
And the amount of mana, like their mana regen is off the charts, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the one thing I always remember with jungle is they were always on a timer before.
Yeah.
Like it was always on the disc priest mana. So versus now it's like, it's on the holy paladin's mana. Like,
Yeah.
that's,
But think about one of the things with Feral though, just in general, is like, I mean, Feral's got a lot of peel.
they do.
That's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
in terms of like CC chains, like they've got multiple stuns.
Yeah.
Obviously, one requires you to be in stealth, but
Yeah.
you've got kind of a bash and maim as well, and then you've got cyclones as well, which is huge. And although it doesn't necessarily work with your kit anymore in that regard, like just being able to cyclone something is just. I mean, cyclone is a really good.
It
Um,
that one's
really,
still
really good ability.
that's a little broken still. I think
Yeah.
not gonna lie, I think something has to happen with Cyclone. Either the amount of time that they're incapacitated, or something with the cast time on it. Something needs to and I know Big Man's not here. He would like totally counter that and say that doesn't need to happen and that it's fine. But I think it's still a little overpowered compared to the other long cast CCs, the long string CCs that are in the game. So
Well, the thing is, like, it wouldn't be too bad, but like you've still got mages with poly on like on that kind of thing. I think the problem is that poly can break,
yes,
and that's the difference. Like poly can break,
Poly
whereas
can break, Hex can break, Fear
Cyclone
can
can't.
break, Cyclone
Yeah.
can't, and Cyclone completely, like, it removes the person from the game completely. So no heals get there or anything else like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think even Incap doesn't do that. Like none of the Repentance, the Monk Incap, the DH in prison, none of those do that. So
Well, in prison you can. In prison you can get it from a PvP talent, I think. But either way, the bigger thing is more than anything is that you can still heal someone when they're in like a rep or
exactly.
or something. Like you can still heal them. Whereas Cyclone you can't. Like you literally can
Nope.
take someone out of the game completely. Like in more senses than anything else. Like it's not just you're taking them out in terms of CC, you stopping them from getting heals.
Yeah.
Or using their heal abilities. Like it's an incredibly strong one. So it means that when ferals are also doing insane damage at the same time, you're just getting screwed.
Yeah. And that just allows for DR timers to come off, so then you can turn around and then CC the healer while the target was Cyclone low, and then boom, dead. Yeah. No, it's a thing. Anyways, I think that talent does need a little change. Anything else from the hot fixes though, since Cyclone wasn't touched?
Nothing big from me aside from what I've said. But
Okay. I will say the two things I saw was Eye of the Storm. The solo queue / blitz is the tower the towers now spawn at different times. So it used to be 15 seconds after the gates dropped that the towers would, the flags would spawn to cap the tower. And then it would, once the flag was the flag was capped, and then the bases swapped, it would be 15 seconds. They changed that now to 20 seconds. And the only thing I can guess there is that will stop people from being able to speed cap, because I think the Alliance has a slight advantage if they can launch themselves off, and certain characters and whatever can launch themselves off and get to that tower fast. The Alliance gets a slight advantage to early capture, which then gives them a few points uptick. So if it turns into a stalemate where it's nobody's capping a flag and the two towers are held, one on each team, then Alliance will automatically win, because that's how that, they got the first tick. So I think they did that on purpose. I think that's what that's for. And then obviously 20 seconds on swap, that just gives more time for once the flag is captured for people to realize and then switch over to the other base to take ownership. The other one is over on the Season of Discovery. Now the Arathi Basin and Warsong Gulch, they made a change to the way marks are being handled for the losing team. So now there's a possibility of more marks for a losing team, which seems weird to me. Why are losing teams getting more marks?
Yeah, stupid.
Uh,
It's buffing that ability to
just lose.
AFK,
yeah. So the wording on it seems that the amount of marks that the losing team gets depends on how close it was or how well they played. So still play hard and you might get more, but it's guaranteed 1 mark. You just don't get the honor points. This one, so I got this on Reddit. I don't know if you saw it or not, but the WoW Arena logs. So we had Orange Person on the show to talk, as part of our talk with community website developments and whatnot. So apparently they've got in contact and are now working on, they built a Arena World Cup edition of WoW Arena logs. So if you go over there now, you can see what the last cup was on WoW Arena logs, including all the logs, shows all their the stats, who shot when or who did what when, and all that, all the way up to the death. And you can they have a replay button, and so you hit the replay and it'll bring up the version of the map, and it'll show the icons move around. It'll show all the abilities as they're firing off every second on the sides, which I think is absolutely amazing.
That is insane. Wow.
It is. So literally, you missed the grand finals of Cup number 2 where Welcome to the Jung won. And, you just go over to Arena Logs and you can take a look at it and see, and watch or something like that. So, actually, hold on for 1 second. I need to click on this for a second because I think I might have just talked to my bum. I want to say, hold on. What did I just click on? Clicked on the wrong thing. I think there it is. Cup 1, so Season 1, Cup 2, Arena, NA, and EU separated. So yes, so you can literally watch Welcome to the Jung, take out Team Liquid, Blackrock Hold, and okay. I did for a second I thought they only had one cup, but no, they have both cups now. So woo. PvP weapon quest change. This is really old, but I had to bring it in because I thought it was pertinent. Have you gotten your weapon yet on all your alts?
Yeah.
Cool.
You just got to get to that. You got to get to that threshold, and you pretty much get it. It's very easy.
Yeah. So it was supposed to be 2,500. I got it, but it was at 26 something. So I'm not sure because that was on my main. So I'm not sure. They said they rolled it back to the beginning of Season 1, but I'm not sure if it did it properly. So, anyways, yeah. So there's that. So obviously, once you get the achievement, you should get 2 tokens in your bag, and then you can go to the conquest vendor and buy a weapon or 2. I think it's 1 token for one hands and 2 tokens for the 2-handers. So yeah. Rudar has decided to make a PvP Clips YouTube channel. So we'll have links to the his tweet that points to the YouTube channel, but you can find it easily on YouTube. Well, pretty easily, I think. But yeah, so he also has on the tweet a Google Doc where you can submit the things. Yeah, it's called Wow PvP Clips is the name of the channel.
Mm. Yep, seen that.
Yes. Now, I have to ask this question. Do you know Hamoudi?
I don't know Hamoudi,
Oh,
and no, I'm very sad to say I didn't, but
okay. Well,
I know.
apparently he moved to Texas. So maybe that's not what. Maybe that's why you don't know him. So
Mhm.
although he's Egyptian, apparently he was living in Texas. But if anybody doesn't know who Hamoudi is, or those who do know, Hamoudi apparently was a well-known Egyptian mage, Egyptian who played a mage in in World of Warcraft. Did a lot of PvP, played with other people. I learned this from our friend Stun God. Um, apparently Hamoudi passed away for unknown reason. I don't know why, but he was apparently fairly well respected, very friendly, willing to help players out and whatnot. But for whatever reason, he's no longer with us. So rest in peace, Hamoudi, and sad to hear. Hopefully, whatever was not painful and wasn't due to any personal demons that he had. I'll say that because I don't know. Rated Q category. So it's bugging out. Have you run into this?
Yeah, I had it happen to me. So there seems to be. I think they're probably trying to do some sort of fix with the MMR probably, and it just sort of they've bugged out the entire thing. So you had to use a sort of a console command in order to get it to just like work anyway.
Yeah.
Very strange. Very strange. It seems I think it's fixed now, but it's incredibly weird.
So I thought it was so. There was a quick blue post, a very subtle one. Completely like I missed it last on NA, the NA forum server. That they knew about it and they thought it was going to get fixed at the reset. When reset happened this morning or sorry yesterday, it was fine. Just before we started the podcast, it came back. So I'm not sure if it's been fixed since then or whatever. But yes, you're right. Is that there's a script command. It still stays gray, but at least you can interact with the buttons and queue back up and whatnot, which is weird. I think the thing that I'm irked about is that so it got noted. It was announced on forums. I saw it on Reddit and I saw it on Twitter. And the forum post responding to by a blue post responding to one of the forum posts was 6 hours after the events after this problem started in NA. So it took 6 hours for a quick little blurb of, yeah, we know about it. We think it's going to get fixed with the reset.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any communication since. Obviously, we've been doing this for the last almost 2 hours. So maybe something's on the forum post again. But can you imagine if this happened with? Can you imagine if this happened with PvE? Can you imagine if like the raid Q button suddenly disappeared or went grayed out and people had to hit a
the
script
raid
command?
finder.
Yeah,
Raid finder just didn't work.
Yeah.
Or you couldn't enter the instance and it was just completely blocked. Like no, none of it would be acceptable.
No. And Blizzard didn't say anything for 6 months, for 6 hours. Like, can you imagine?
Exactly. Yeah, like even longer than that probably. Like it's just it's the same sort of thing where like we have just found ways to fix it because we've had to get really experimental and really sort of analytical with these problems because Blizzard doesn't want to solve them. It's the biggest fumble I think personally in gaming history that Blizzard have fumbled like WoW PvP as hard as they have because it could just be so good. Like the format itself is ideal for viewership. Anyway, I'm not going to ramble on about that, but I think you're right. Like if it was PvE, it would have been fixed and somebody would have said something way sooner.
I don't know where the script command came from. So that could have come on one of the channels or one of the places, or like through, somebody at Blizzard knows somebody in the PvP community, and that got slipped through, and then all of a sudden went wildfire out to the community. That might have happened. I don't know, but the fact that it took 6 hours before we got a blue post responding to any of the forum posts on their forums to say, "Oh yeah, we know about it. We think it's going to get fixed with a reset." Like, there's no way that would have been Ian Hazakostas on his Twitter account in like 15 minutes. I feel like, but oh well. I'm just gonna anyway. I'm happy that it still works. You just do the script. Yes, it's grayed out, but you can actually interact with the buttons and everything works. Thank goodness.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I really hope that they're fixing the reason why they're doing it is fixing MMR. I don't believe it, but I hope so. I hope you're right.
I hope so. I hope so too. I think they will do, but it's just it's coming.
Okay. Last two things quickly. If anybody hasn't seen, so again, talking about PvP community tournaments and whatnot, Void GG, they're a website. They do they help with grouping. They help show ladder stats. They show a bunch of things. They've hosted a few tournaments on their own, but this time they decided to just say, we're not going to do it ourselves. We're just going to set aside, here's $500,000, and people contact us on Twitter, and we'll decide if we want to give you some of that money to help fund your tournaments. So I think that's really awesome. I think that's a smart way of doing it. Didn't seem to show anything where it's like, there's no criteria. It's not that you have to like do a bunch of their merch or like anything like that. They just keep doing your thing, but we're going to give you some money if if we deem it worthy and whatnot. So that's there. So again, if you are considering or have been thinking about hosting a tournament, and you just don't, you didn't have the money for it, or there's something holding you back, well, here's a place where you can find some money if they find it worthy. And I don't know what the criteria is. And I just want to come back that one thing about MMR. So this is why I wanted to pin into it at the time, pull the pin out. So MMR conversation. There's been a bunch of people. Like, have you seen some of the controversial ideas as why MMR is so low in 2s and 3s compared to and RSS? I guess really it's RSS compared to Blitz. Have you seen some of this stuff?
I mean, it's low. To be honest, 3s is fairly low as well, but 2s and RSS are low because of the one that I've seen is that it's because of the fact that they want more people to play their new like BGB, so they've kind of kept that uncapped, and so therefore like no one's climbing, so they want you to climb in that. And I think, to be honest with you, I actually wouldn't blame them if that were the case.
Huh. Okay.
I mean, by that I mean, like, if it was true, like, I'd be, I wouldn't be shocked.
Interesting. I don't think they did that for that reason. I'd say, I don't think any of it's MMR capped. I made a mistake when I made a tweet earlier saying that they said that they capped MMR back like a while ago. I went back and found the forum post, and it actually says they don't cap MMR. So now, what I actually think is I don't think MMR is capped. I think it's the fact that in 2s and 3s and in Solo Shuffle, it's the fact that people make it to they're trying to get to 1600 for the free weapon. If they're trying to get to 1800 for the elite set, those are the goals that they set, and then they stop. So literally, they take all that CR that they've banked up and they just rob it from the system. And so, I shout out to Mortai. He did a great little tweet set where he showed the number of people in different brackets, and after 1800, it goes from like 1,500 people or whatever, like this some crazy number, to like 97% of the healers stop playing RSS once they've reached 1800.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't blame him. I don't blame him either. But it's
yeah.
But I think there is a stealth. There's definitely a stealth MMR cap, because people will be able to push higher. Like, it's not, to be honest with you, it's not them that really does the pushing up. It's the it's the top guys. The top guys all queue, push the rating up massively because it's just can keep going up, and that's when everyone else starts catching up because then they're so high up that the MMR will never ever link them up with into your lobbies, and therefore you get to climb because you're actually queuing it into people that are of a similar level as you or worse.
Okay.
So that's how I see it. Like I'm not saying that isn't the case, and what Mortai is saying isn't true, but I think realistically, it's that is the big reason why MMR hasn't gone up because
Maybe. I don't know, because I'm hearing people like, there's some people in our Discord channel that have been saying that they've been playing Blitz and they've only getting like 7 CR game and they're not climbing as fast as they did with their main. They're still in placement game MMR hell, I believe, is some of the top. So I don't know. I think some of it. I think I think there might be something wonky with MMR. Only earning 7 points CR is a little weird for winning something. So that seems a little bit weird. But as far as like the upper tier side, I do suspect, like especially for rated solo shuffle, if like 90% of the player base stops playing after 1800 and it's only those small select people, well, yeah, if you're like 2K, if you struggle to get 2K, you're still fighting into like 1800 lobbies because that's how the MR ends up expanding until you finally get a lobby. Well, yeah, you have to go like 6-0 or else you're not going to get any points. Chances are you're just going to be losing your points to somebody. So then you just get pulled back down. Like it's, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think there's something. I think there's something. I never understand. Like solo shuffle, MMR games and CR has still got me kind of confused. Like it's anyway.
It just doesn't make sense personally. Like I think there's more that they could be doing for it.
I think there again communication. I think there needs to be something spoken about it. But yeah, we know that's not gonna happen.
Indeed.
It's unfortunate. I know I hate to sound like a Debbie Downer. Usually I'm pretty upbeat, but
You're very upbeat.
That's twice now. I'm like, and no. Speaking of upbeat though, shoutouts. Jake, do you have any shoutouts?
Yeah, I do. Big shout out to my teammates who I've been queuing with recently. People that have been helping me cap and just playing with me in general. Big shout out to you guys just for being there, being my constant sort of WoW partners, even if I've been in bad moods or whatnot. I do.
Are you gonna a name drop, or are you just gonna like talk about? Like...
No, I'm not gonna name drop any names. I'm just gonna this is for everyone that
okay.
I queue with, so they know who they are. So, but just there, yeah, that's the kind of thing. Like it's a rough meta, but
Cool.
we're having fun anyway, and I think that's the main thing.
Cool. As long as you're having fun, right?
Exactly.
So, cool. I want to give a shout out to everybody that responded to my fun little question I put on Twitter and over on the WoW PvP subreddit, asking about success versus mastery in the game. And that was a fun little exercise. But huge shout out, like the number of answers I got back on that was actually kind of eye opening. Not unexpected, but still a little eye opening. So more than a little, but still eye opening. So shout out to all those people who decided to provide those answers and answer me. But that's Jake.
Yes.
Bigger Moran.
Bigger Moran.
Could you list off to our listeners where they can reach us?
I absolutely can do. So for our listeners, you can contact us directly with a tweet to @technically_PvP or by an email to technicallypvp@gmail.com. You can also join our discussions on the Bonus Roll Productions Discord. And on top of that, you can visit the Bonus Roll website to find the podcast directory with us and many other great shows at www.bonusroll.gg. This directory also has a review system, so if you've enjoyed listening and you like us, then please head on over and tell everyone what you think.
Indeed. And like always, links for everything we talked about will be in the show notes. And I want to thank everybody for listening. You take care, and we'll see you next time. Good night, everybody.